never forget the first time I visited the Griffins' home and found that Tom and Vicki's son, Stephen, opens his Bible regularly to read. Well, quote read. Stephen can't read on that level. In fact, he doesn't even talk. Yet he imitates what he sees his parents doing. And I believe that even though Stephen can't understand the ink on the page, he does understand that he is spending time with God, just as he sees his mom and dad doing. I think you'll enjoy meeting this family. What would you like to share about the journey you have traveled with Stephen, starting with when he was born?
When Stephen was born and we were told that he had Down syndrome, we were very surprised. I did not expect it. It was quite shocking. And then when we discovered that only one out of about 850 children were born with Down syndrome, I have to tell you that I said to myself, oh God, why did we have to be that one out of 850 people, families? And now on this side of the journey, I say, thank you, God, that we were chosen to be that one out of 850 families to have Stephen.
Vicki, you mentioned earlier to me that you and Tom have set out to nurture Stephen both socially and spiritually. Would you both like to share about how you've made these areas all that they can be for your son?
We believe with all our heart that God has created Stephen to be exactly who he is, and it wasn't by accident. And we believe he has great potential.
And we were given a great piece of advice from a friend who has a daughter with Down syndrome, where she talked about the importance of discipline in the child's life. And with Stephen, it can be frustrating because you have to teach the lesson more than once. But being firm, teaching him to be appropriate around people and to have manners is it increases other people's comfort level with him as they learn to engage with him, because there's kind of a natural want of most people just to pull back from a special needs child.
And Stephen is so fun to be around.
Yes,
He
really is. And so after just a few minutes now, even with adults or children, they're very comfortable with him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And a particular verse that God gave us when we were struggling with how firm to be with him, how gentle, how God would teach us how to love him, but also teach him discipline, was a verse in Ecclesiastes, and it's Ecclesiastes 8:11, and it talks about when something wrong is done, that it says the heart of the children of man is fully set to do evil. So even if we gently correct him when he does something wrong, it tells him that that's not okay. And we're just trying to guide him into the right behavior in a loving way.
The Griffins have had a tough road. Stephen has been in the hospital more times than I can count. And it just seems, as I observe their lives, that they face one difficult circumstance after another. So I asked them to tell us about their faith.
In a lot of ways, I would say it's faith we've been given, because you're not really ready for something like this, but God's always there, and the grace is there when you need it. And so I think the one thing the Lord's taught me through this whole adventure, used to call things good and bad. We have a loving Father who he filters everything that comes into our lives. And so from that standpoint, it's all good. So I've stopped calling things good and bad and now call them easy or hard. This was a hard thing, but it's good. And so we just accept it like so many other things. And I think it's really taught us to lean into more of the trials of life in faith.
I asked the Griffins to think about what final thoughts they'd like to share.
I would just say that if you're given the gift of a Stephen or some other special needs child, just to receive it, and again the grace will be there. And it's hard at times, and I even look at our case compared to others, and there are many other more challenged children. Again, the Lord does not give us anything that will crush us. It is all meant to be an ultimate blessing to us.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go on up to the classroom and see what Emma and Stephen are doing up there. Okay?
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, we're in the Griffin homeschool classroom, and this is Stephen. Give me 5, Stephen. And this is Emma.
Hi, Mrs. Linder.
Hi, Emma. And we're going to show you a little bit of what goes on here.
If you feel discouraged that your children aren't learning, hang in there. Don't give up. So we're just going to show you a small sample of how Stephen can now read. We've actually done phonics programs for 10 years now. I started just after he turned 2. Our theme is never give up. And Stephen is now reading after all these years. Little by little, he's come along and we're so excited that he's reading. Now, Stephen doesn't talk. He understands everything that we say, but it's been a little more challenging to teach him to read because he doesn't talk. So good about having learned how to read, and it's been a process, but Stephen's had great perseverance and he's just kept trying all along the journey, and we are going to continue learning, aren't we, Stephen? Yes.
The picture that was painted by the professionals of what Stephen's life was to be when he was born was pretty bleak. But Tom and Vicki looked into the soul of this child who was physically sick and cognitively limited, and they saw the person in there, a person full of potential. How we all would have missed out if they would have let that potential lie dormant.